What's up, you guys? Wyattxhim here. It is 6 in the morning. That can only mean one thing. Time to rustle up some jimmies by putting up the top 10 overrated metal bands of today and pretty much in general. Pretty much. I'll just say that. Please don't get offended, as probably a lot of people are. And just, these are bands that, I'm not saying these are bad bands. I'm not saying I hate these bands. But throughout their career, throughout all their accomplishments, this is what I believe. I'm going to bring up some points why I think these bands are really overrated. I'm not really bashing these bands, although I probably will for the most part on some of them. But, yeah, anyways, here we go. Remember, guys, this is just what I think. Try not to get too butthurt. And starting off at number 10, it is Five Finger Death Punch. Now, don't get me wrong. I like these guys, alright? I like their first two albums, which was The Way of the Fist and War is the Answer. Just full aggression, almost has kind of like a hardcore element to it when Ivan really goes really fast-paced and kind of thrashy. But after that, American Iconoless, I think, was the next one, and just Heaven and blah blah blah, whatever the other ones are. It comes off too radio friendly to me. It comes off just too friendly and kind of, goes more into the bigger audience in a friendlier type of way, with just some little tiny elements of aggression and some little tiny elements of metal in it. And they're starting to become more of a hard rock almost type of band as they keep progressing more and more into their, career. And I get the big reason why they've gotten so much success is that the fact they just keep dimming down their sound of aggression and keep adding more into support the troops and really this type of really supporting to veterans. Not that I disagree with that, but they keep bringing out these type of themes of supporting the troops, which is why so many more people have gotten behind them, and they've just gotten more acclaim for the fact of what they sing about than more about what they sound about. And that's overall why I think these guys are extremely overrated. Next up, obviously I had to bring these guys up. I didn't want to, but number 9, Metallica. Yes, they are pretty much the best-selling metal band of all time, pretty much. And yes, I could go on and on about how they sold out with Saint Anger, how they changed their sound with Load and Reload, this and that. But I like these guys. I really do. I own Ride the Lightning. I'm trying to buy, well, it's not hard. I just never get around to buying it. I'm like Master of Puppets, their debut album, and Justice for All. I like that. Even the Black Album I really did like. Those 5 I really, really did like. But I think what really makes these guys overrated is that their fan base really makes them seem overrated, that they get godly amounts of praise because of the reason why they've sold so much. I mean, the Black Album sold 16 million albums worldwide. Each album's like multi-platinum, pretty much based. And what makes it overrated, like I said, is just the fan base. They just give them so much godly praise that it gets annoying, and just, I wish they would just stop. It's just such an annoying fan base that, it just comes off really annoying and kiddish. And it just seems like, if you're not really that big into metal, if you like Metallica, well, no, let me rephrase that. If you like metal and you're just starting off, and the only band you know in metal is pretty much Metallica, pretty much. It's just a band everybody knows. It's just a band that gets so much godly praise just for the fact sometimes I feel like is because they've sold so much albums and they're just so known. But overall, I do like them. I like their first 5 albums. I thought, they're great albums that, is definitely worth listening to. Next up, number 8. This might surprise you, but number 8 for me is Slayer. Yeah, whatever they did back in the 80s, to me, they can't seem to take it back, pretty much. Rain and Blood, Welcome to Hell, Show No Mercy, Seasons in the Abyss, great, pretty much masterpieces to thrash metal. I'm not denying that. I have those albums. Those albums are great. I love playing them. But this new stuff is just like Santenica and Musica, whatever. World Painted Blood. Their new track, Implode, just really just standard boring stuff that's really dull and just doesn't have that really kick that Slayer has anymore, and they keep transcending into this new metal style that just comes off weird and just it's not something I want in Slayer. I want the thrashy Slayer, and really they're just getting more metal Slayer, not really that thrashy, evil sounding stuff that, we all know and love by them. It seems like, as they keep trying to dive into different ways of making thrash metal, they're just not simply putting out just thrash metal. They're trying to put out this more different style of thrash that's just not really fitting to their style. I do respect them for trying other stuff when they went to the new metal and some almost industrial metal, but it doesn't work for them. And I'm hoping their new album that it comes off as a surprise to me is really good, because lately they just haven't made anything that's that's good compared to their earlier stuff. That's like masterpieces to their discography and thrash in general. And probably the other big reason why is because their fan base is hands down the most obnoxious, most immature and annoying fan base I've ever been seen. When I saw Slayer last year, all I heard probably throughout the whole crowd was Slayer, and it's just so obnoxious, and they just, I really don't like when fan bases treat their bands that they love like gods. It's just so obnoxious, and I hate it. And they just I do believe they deserve the praise they get, but they just sometimes to me get too much of praise for being the first band that they probably ever heard of that has satanic lyrical themes, and their first real band that they've heard that brings out real thrash aggression and real evilness, and they just act like Slayer is the only band that's ever done such evil themes throughout throughout music in general practically, and it just comes off really annoying. Next up, number 7, you might think I won't even include these guys, but I will, Megadeth. Why? Well, because they all act like they're the real Metallica. They're the band that deserves the millions and millions of records sold when they've already sold millions and millions of records. Yes, not compared to Metallica's, record sales, but they're extremely successful. So why are you trying to push them like they deserve even more success when you're saying, well, this is the reason why they're better than Metallica? That alone is so annoying. You guys need to stop doing that. They already have enough success as it is. My God, they are lucky enough that they sold all those records. They act like Dave Mustaine is the god of all guitarists in general. Yes, he's extremely talented. I've seen them live, and Dave puts on one hell of a show. But he's been a dick, Dave Mustaine, with what he's saying about the high school shootings a few years ago. How he's gone like all Christian and whatnot. That's just really weird, and it's just such a weird combination to have a really heavy Christian with such, thrashy and evil albums such as Peace Sells and Who's Buying, Killing Is My Business and Business Is Good, like albums like that. Like, how do you I know Slayer with Tom Araya is the same way, but why all of a sudden say all that and then say you're Christian? It's just, it's weird to me. And like I said, the fan base, they just give them so much godly praise just because they're not the Metallica to the world, and they're just Megadeth, and Dave was so screwed over by Metallica, this and that, and it's just like, what doesn't... Aren't you happy that Dave made his own band? Aren't you happy that instead of just Metallica, we have Metallica and Megadeth? It's just a really flame war on the internet that really needs to stop right now. Next up, number 6 on the countdown, Pantera. Yes, I listen to Pantera. Yes, I have shirts by Pantera. Yes, I own 2 CDs by Pantera. But yes, they are extremely overrated. Why? Everyone thinks that their first album was Cowboys from Hell. No, it was the first album with Phil Anselmo, I believe. Was it? I don't think so. But anyway, yeah. Wow. Pantera. Yes, I do like Vulgar Display of Power. Yes, I do. Yes, I like Cowboys from Hell. But what makes them so overrated, it's not the record sales. It's not even, well, it is, but what it really is that the fans act like, you know I'm gonna say it, Dimebag Darrell was the greatest guitarist ever. See, this is what happens when musicians die. The fan base immediately has to react when not rest in peace, thank you for all the great music and memories you made. They automatically feel like they have to say now, oh my god, you are the greatest ever, because now you're dead, and now that we can't hear you anymore, and now that I can't listen to you anymore or see you anymore, I now have to show my appreciation by now saying you're the greatest because you're no longer with us. And it's such a really terrible thing that fans, act in such a way like this, that immediately now we have to say they're the greatest, and now we're a ginormous fan of them because of a passing of a band. And it just goes to show that that I don't know how to put it in words really, but it's just really a pathetic thing that people then all of a sudden say they're ginormous fans of them when a band passes and now they can't see them anymore. But that's my main reason why. It's just the fact that people just act like all of a sudden Dimebag Darrell was the greatest ever. Next up, number 5, pretty much the same reason, Suicide Silence. Pretty much the same reason, only with Mitch Lucker. They were a deathcore band that, had a big fan base, for the most part. I guess, I really can't explain why, but they did. And with Mitch Lucker's passing, all of a sudden now he's the greatest vocalist ever. We all love him. We all appreciate him now. And what's funny is, I know I did a reaction video to it, and yes, I had a different mindset back then, and a different taste back then, but now that I look at it, should we really, I understand the family and friends and whatnot, yes, you guys deserve to mourn his death because, he was a big part of your life, I understand that, but for the fan bases that didn't know him well, think of it, he died from drunk driving. That's a really irresponsible thing. When you're drunk driving, not only do you endanger yourself, you endanger everyone that passes by you on the road. So it's like he died from pretty much irresponsibility, and people are moaning it like, he left us too early, when really, not to really start bashing him, but really it's his own fault that he's dead, but yet we have to moan him like now, alright, now he's the greatest now. He's the greatest deathcore vocalist ever. He did so much for me. He did everything I could ever ask for. And it's just, again, another pathetic excuse by fans to really show their appreciation. Saying rest in peace and saying, you know what, thanks for the music you made and thanks for the memories you created for me. That alone is more than enough. But to now start kissing his ass and start saying, "Oh, you were the greatest ever, I love you," this and that. It's like you go too far with that. But that's just how I look at it personally. But that alone is the main reason why they're overrated. Plus the new vocalist just it doesn't work, in my opinion. Number 4, this is going to piss off a lot of people, but you know what? I don't care. Number 4, Wyattxhim. How in the hell did these guys, within not even a decade, start charting on the billboards? These guys put off, and like, I'm not bashing deathcore, because deathcore does have good bands like Carnifex, All Shall Perish, and a couple others I can't think of right now. But Wyattxhim is definitely the epitome of what happens when a big fan base gets behind a really not special band and then becomes huge. Wyattxhim to me is a really standard deathcore band, and they make such standard music, and the vocal styles to me are really Cookie Monster style of vocals that he does hit his highs pretty well for the most part, but the music is just really standard. It comes off to me really standard, and their new album to me is just really unnatural sounding with really digital effects here and there, and all these patches of digital scratches and whatnot that just come off really just not good and awkward and just wrong to me and falls flat. And they just, to me, what really makes me think they're overrated is that they're just so standard. There's really nothing, in my opinion, that stands out from with these guys in deathcore or just metal in general to me. And to really start charting on the billboard so high and start selling so much to making the main act in shows, to me it's just they just come off to me really overrated. I'm not bashing them because they made such a name for themselves in such a few short years. I mean, Ghost did that, and I love them to death as a fan, and it's just Wyattxhim did it, and they've just done it in such a standard way that I really cannot get into, and I really don't like. But anyway, enough about them, because number 3, Black Veil Brides. Black Veil Brides, what can I say? Definitely standard. Nothing special. Why? A lot of people, girls I should say, look at these guys as hot, cute, sexy with Andy something, whatnot. And what I don't like about them is that as years go by, they keep toning down their style to even less and less. And it's just such, and the vocal styles for Andy are really just the same. He always has the same execution with the style that he uses in practically every single. The instruments are such a waste. It's just kind of a copy and paste for the next band that's coming up, and that's going to be number 1. That it's just such a copy and paste to this particular band, and it just comes off just really nothing special. Yet scene girls that are not scene girls, but 14-year-old girls and 14-year-olds in general, to even 16-year-olds, just eat this shit up because of how they look. Almost they buy into their look of this black makeup, face paint sort of shit that makes them look different in a way, and makes them support the outcast in the group of the schools and whatnot, that they just eat it up because it relates to them in such a weird and non-really relatable way, and it just doesn't. It's just nothing special. It's just another product to the record company to get a quick buck because of how they look and what they sing about, and it's just really nothing special how I look at it. And anyway, number 2, gonna piss off even more people now. Number 2, Slipknot. Why I say that is because they're a nu metal band that I don't know why they just they were just pretty much formed at the right time. Pretty much, these guys were formed at the right time that they could just perfectly make all their money. My screen just went to screensaver after 20 minutes because, man, I've been doing this for a while. But they were just, they were just, I can't even think right now. They were just grouped and formed at the right time, at the right moment, at the right year, where the new metal genre exploded, and they were just there at the right time and just started getting so much record sales to nearly now 20 million practically. And yeah, I mean, they appeal to the, younger audience that wants to have that, when all the 14-year-olds and 16-year-old, males that have so much testosterone building up that they just want to release it with a relatable act. I understand that. But it's just again, just 9 members it takes to make really aggressive music. I know bands that have only 3 members and even put more aggressive, heavier stuff than this. And it's just, what makes them overrated is the fact that, they introduced blast beats to a wide audience, and people act like this is the fastest drummer alive. This is the most insane drumming ever. He can drum upside down. And, I'm talking about Joey Jordison, but how it seems like to me, Slipknot's the band that kind of introduces you to what is yet to come. They're the first step to this whole wide range of intense and crazy music. But yeah, what makes them overrated is the fact that people just stay at that one step and look at Slipknot as they are the heaviest band, the most chaotic, shit crazy band out there, that when you just take the next step, you're going to realize you're extremely wrong. And yes, guilty as charged, I was one of them back in the 8th grade until I started listening to death metal. I looked at Slipknot like any other regular metal band that got big in the scene. And another thing that makes them overrated is the fact that why do you guys need 9 members? That's way too much. It seems like half of them don't even do shit. They're just there to make them look even crazier. Their kind of scary masks that a lot of younger fans really enjoy for some reason. I don't know, that's just them. And number 1, man, I'm just gonna piss off so many people today, but come on. Avenged Sevenfold. Pretty much everything I said about all 9 acts, how they're overrated, applies to these guys. These guys have sold millions of records. Why? Because it is this really standard yet kind of aggressive band. What really, again, makes them so successful, they've gotten really mainstream success with their record sales. When the drummer, the Rev, died, all of a sudden people were saying he was the best drummer ever and whatnot, to show their appreciation for them, instead of just saying, like I said with the Suicide Silence incident and the Pantera incident, just saying, hey, thanks for making that music, thanks for, making great music, thanks for giving the memories and giving us all these memories. But no, the fans, like I said before, just act like, hey, let's show our appreciation by saying you're the greatest ever, we love you, we'll never forget you, this and that, when it's just such, again, just this terrible excuse for fans kissing up to them. Another thing, their new stuff, is, like I said, like other bands, they just keep dimming it down to make it more radio friendly, and it's just, they used to be actually quite enjoyable. I did enjoy the track, the 4th chapter, a lot. I really did even enjoy that album for the most part. But they just kept dimming it down to where it just got more and more radio friendly. To pretty much now they're pretty much a hard rock band, to say the most. And it's just their formula just keeps getting more and more repetitive, yet more and more toned down. And easily, in my book, the most overrated band of all time. Now, that's finally it, guys. After 25 minutes, I've pretty much said all this pretty much stupid aggravation. But, as always, guys, that's pretty much my list. So comment below, tell me what you thought about this list. Love hearing your opinions. Try not to be too butthurt about it. Just try to understand why I said all these bands are really overrated. As always, guys, thanks for watching. Subscribe to my channel for track reviews of metal, death metal, all extreme metals, and top 10 lists like this every day. Thanks for watching, guys, and keep it metal.